convicted him of the murder of Robin Samsoe and also, thankfully, the murder of Jill Barkham, the murder of Jill Parenteau, the murder of Georgia Wickstead, and the murder of Charlotte Lamb. So he was convicted of everything we charged him with. Every single victim, every single count. It was a clean sweep. And then the jury came back in, I believe it was about 2.5 hours, they returned a verdict of death.
We were watching the news one night and suddenly Rod's face was on the news. And I took a breath so deep I couldn't breathe out and started to have a panic attack. And they showed the brave 8-year-old survivor. And they showed this beautiful young woman. And she was healthy and beautiful, and she had a name, Dolly Shapiro. I was so happy to have a name. I thought about contacting her, but there's no first sentence there. I mean, what do you say? I spent days writing a letter, sobbing. I just begged her to forgive me and told her I should have done something. I just said there had to be something I could have done. She wrote back and she said, there's nothing to forgive. There's only one man that's responsible for this, and he's pure evil. And that was literally a life-changing moment. It really was.
I know I've been able to help Morgan a lot. Obviously, I forgive her. She didn't do anything wrong. The court system let him out, for crying out loud. I mean, psychiatrists let him out. I don't think it was within either of our power to put this evil person away, but we've been able to bond and just comfort each other in the strong women we've become.
So glad to see you. I missed you. I missed you too.
When I actually went to meet Tali, I told her I have for so many years had a need to hold you. And she said, you know, I think I need to be held too. When we met, I just couldn't let go. I just couldn't let go. I just held her and cried. And it meant everything to me to finally be able to hold her in my arms. When I look at the crime scene photos, there's actually furniture moved for where Tali is lying. So he actually went and moved that table and chairs so that he could have her on the kitchen floor. I think probably because he had difficulty cleaning up the blood in his bedroom. So this time he wanted it on the kitchen floor. I think he also needed room to swing that metal bar because he didn't have room in his bedroom without breaking lamps and mirrors. That was, for years, my worst nightmare was him holding that like a bat, that 5-foot solid metal bar, and swinging it into her head. I just can't even imagine anybody having the ability to do such a thing. It's just beyond me.
went into his storage locker immediately after he was identified and arrested. There's thousands of photographs of young women and young boys and adult women, young girls, that to this day we've been unable to identify many of them. So being alone in the company of Rodney Alcala, knowing what he did to Robin Samsoe, knowing what he did to Tali Shapiro, we always suspected that there were more victims. I mean, in fact, we knew he killed other people. We just didn't know who they were and couldn't prove it.
Alcala may be the most dangerous of all of the killers that have ever been caught, because while he was only charged with a relatively small number of murders, the number of pictures he had and the likelihood that almost every one of them was the subject of a homicide means that he may have killed in excess of 100 people.
The so-called dating game killer, who may have killed as many as 130 people across the country, died early this morning while still awaiting his execution.
I was actually in my car driving home, and some reporter phoned me and he asked my thoughts, and I said, "The world's a better place." And he said, "Perfect, that will be the name of my article."
I cried, and I didn't expect to cry. I thought I'd dance, I thought I'd sing. I just couldn't stop crying. I couldn't stop thinking about how sad all the evil that he's brought into the world. And I couldn't stop crying for Dolly's lost childhood, for the mess of my own life. And mostly, I just couldn't stop crying for all the women that are still out there will never ever be found because he died with that information.